We've been wanting to link up for a bit. Your boy Q. Q, what's up, man?
Chilling, man. How you guys doing?
We good, man. We good. We were just talking about that moment with Stacey Dales last night. You think Clint Kubiak and the Raiders going to be in a little bit of trouble for releasing the news early that he's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders head coach?
No. That was the worst kept secret in the league, right? Everyone knew that he was going to be the next head coach. His GM had mentioned it. John Snyder had mentioned it during Radio Row during Super Bowl week. So, he'll be fine. That's all a formality, and now it's all done. Now they've made it official, 5-year deal for Kubiak. So we'll be at the introductory press conference coming up tomorrow.
There you go.
Absolutely. Now, I remember when I'm a 49ers fan, and I remember watching Kyle Shanahan in his playoff run with the Falcons before he got the 49ers head coaching job. And I saw what he did against Seattle. I saw what he did. I think they beat up Green Bay. And then even what he was able to do in that Super Bowl, even though they weren't able to close it out. And I was like, no, he's the one. He is the one. He's the truth. And over time, that's been proven to be like, yeah, he's one of the best coaches in the game.
Yeah.
Do you get that same feeling, or have you been getting that same feeling watching Clint Kubiak in this run with the Seahawks?
Yeah, it gets me excited to see what he's able to do offensively, right? For every reason that you just mentioned with Kyle Shanahan, being able to design this offense and be patient and set up a play in the first quarter to capitalize on it in the fourth quarter, right? Just to play the chess match, the ultimate chess match. And look, you guys have been covering the Raiders and covering football in general. The Raiders haven't had a lot of creativity when it comes to the offense, right? I mean, John Gruden probably was the best one that they've had in the last handful of years. Josh McDaniels was supposed to be that guy, never turned into him. Antonio Pierce was learning on the fly. Pete Carroll was Pete Carroll, right? I mean, so there is a lot to like about this hire based off what he did offensively, knowing that Kenneth Walker was the MVP of the Super Bowl, knowing Sam Darnold now is a Super Bowl champion. JSN is, one of the best wide receivers in the league. And I know the Raiders have a lot of personnel that they've got to get and put in place to be able to have that kind of production. But the creativity, the sharp offensive mind is there. Now, the problem is he going to be a really good head coach, or is he a really good offensive coordinator? That's, obviously still TBD. That's what we'll learn sooner rather than later. But as far as just initially the hire of Clint Kubiak and everything that he's done from an offensive standpoint is something to get excited about if you're Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, or a member of Raider Nation.
Yeah, Q, and that's why this feels like a really big deal for the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, they've had so many misses, and you just ran down them. The Antonio Pierce, the Josh McDaniel, the Pete Carroll, and with all due respect to Pete Carroll and his Hall of Fame career, like, he's just kind of done at this point. Getting Clint Kubiak, him having the spotlight. Yes, they now have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This feels like a really massive offseason, perhaps the biggest offseason in recent history for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it really does, man. And I said it as soon as the season got wrapped up. I said, all right, now the heavy lifting is going to start, right? I mean, because the season, when you win 3 games, there's not a lot that you can write home about and talk about. I knew that everything was going to get ramped up to the gills once the season got wrapped up. They secured the number 1 overall spot. You knew that they were going to be looking for a new head coach. And once it became pretty clear that Clint Kubiak was the guy, you start thinking, at least I did, from an Ashton Genty point of view, from a Brock Bowers point of view, from a Fernando Mendoza point of view, how can this work out really well? And what still needs to be done? You then put in the fact that they have just about $100 million in salary cap space. They have right now 10 draft picks, right? Who knows what's going to happen with Maxx Crosby? Will he be with the Raiders? Will he not be? If he's not, that's more draft picks in general. Obviously another first round pick too, but that's more picks that they'll have to go ahead and construct this roster, because the roster needs a lot of work. So there's a lot to like about this scenario. And if you're Clint Kubiak and you get a 5-year deal from the Raiders, you know that you're given the opportunity, at least on paper, it looks like you're getting the opportunity to grow this thing. So it's not, you have to be an overnight sensation. You have to turn it around in 1 year, like Liam Cohen did with the Jaguars, or the Patriots and Mike Vrabel did, right? And even Mike McDonald gets it done in 2 years. You're going to have time to build this thing up, and you're in one of the toughest divisions of football. So you got a lot of work you got to do. But again, it feels like the beginning of a nice new chapter for the Raiders.
I'll ask you, Q, what's the first priority? What's the first thing that you're trying to do if you're Clint Kubiak? Obviously, you've got the draft pick and everything, but as far as building this roster and getting it to a point where it can be competitive, what's the first thing you're doing? Offensive line, playmakers on the outside, where are you looking?
Left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, right? The offensive line has to be better. That's a priority. And the thing about it is, with the Raiders, they've never been good with the zone blocking scheme. Well, what does Kubiak What does Shanahan? What do all those guys run? Right, going all the way back to Mike Shanahan, going all the way back to Gary Kubiak. They run the zone blocking scheme. So first and foremost, you have to identify who your offensive lineman that can use and run that scheme, who they can be. So Colton Miller, I didn't say left tackle because I feel confident he can be that guy at the left tackle spot. Jackson Powers Johnson, as you guys know, nobody had an idea what went wrong with him last year, but something went wrong with him last year. So identify if he's going to be part of your plan or if he's going to be someone you move on from. And whatever you decide, that's fine. Just do it. Don't, maybe he's a center, maybe he's a right guard, maybe he's this, maybe he's first string, maybe he's no, man, just whatever he is, decide what he is and move forward. And then go and get your center if in fact JPJ is not that guy. Go and get your guard, figure out what you're tackling. That offensive line's got to be 1,000 times better than it was this past year. Nobody had a chance behind that offensive line last year. I mean, Ashton Jeanty ran for more yards behind the line of scrimmage than he did past the line of scrimmage. So it's just you can't do that. That's got to be the number one key if you're Clint Kubiak and John Spytek, the GM, that if this team's going to be good, that offensive line is going to be a lot better than it was this year.
And I think one thing Kubiak is known for is that he could work with some offensive lines. Like he's got schemes and different things that he can do. But like you just listed, right guard, tackle, like center, all of that. Like how much of that can you realistically address this offseason, especially when it looks like you've got your quarterback coming in?
Yeah, I think you can get a lot of it done, to be honest. I mean, like I said, Colton Miller, I feel strongly about at the left tackle spot. I believe that there's a place for JPG on the offensive line. I just don't know what they want to use him as, center or guard. Okay, so that's another spot. I think DJ Glaze, who is your right tackle this year, I think he could be maybe a guard, kick him inside. I think he'd be better, especially at the left guard spot. I think him and Colton Miller together could protect Fernando Mendoza's blind side. And then you got to figure out the rest. Center, right guard, right tackle. What are you going to do? You got a couple guys that were rookies last year you feel pretty good about, but are they going to be able to run the scheme that Kubiak wants? And, you've got plenty of salary cap space. I think you can go address it in free agency. Tyler Lindenbaum, one of the big names in free agency, the center from Baltimore. Will they let him get out of the building? I don't know. But if they do, I think that the Raiders would probably go and attack that position. And there's other guys as well and the draft. So I think that you can get the offensive line in place, but you have to. That's a non-negotiable. If this team is going to have any chance to do anything offensively, if you're Ashton Jeanty and you think you're going to really show why the Raiders drafted you number 6 overall, you're going to need that offensive line in place.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. And obviously the big story is Maxx Crosby and what they do with Maxx Crosby. I kind of feel like it's an opportunity, as great as Max is, to maximize his value and kind of help jumpstart your rebuild with trading him maybe for some draft picks and going about it that way. But what's your read on what might happen with Maxx Crosby and the Raiders right now?
I feel like that where there's smoke, there's fire. I feel like, when we were on Radio Row last week at the Moscone Center and Jay Glazer's talking about Max wants out, and this is from Max. And then Diana Rossini saying that he wants to play for Vrabel, and this is from Max. And then they walked it back, and now, reports from Jason LaConfora, who I had on my radio show a little while ago, are out that he told Tom Brady he doesn't want to play for the Raiders and he'll sit out. Like, all this is out there for a reason. I don't think until Max comes out and says something, he's got plenty of platforms. I know he's doing the Let's Go podcast today with Jim Gray. He went on media tour last week. But the one thing that I keep telling everyone is he went on that media tour last week. And if he wanted to shut this conversation down, he could have said, I'm a Raider. I'm happy to be a Raider. Can't wait for the new coach to get here so we can get to work. Simple, right? That would have been as simple as you needed to be. Instead, he's like, hey, I'm trying to get healthy. I'm worried about my rehab. I'm staying out of that lane because I've done that. I've been there, done that. This team means everything to me. He didn't say this team means everything to me and I'm ready to play next year. He just said this team means everything to me. The owner, I have a great relationship with the owner. Matter of fact, I have a great relationship with everyone in the building. And then he said the famous words, for the most part. And I went on a big rant on my radio show earlier today that you go and tell your lady, hey, that dress looks good on you. For the most part, right? And see how she reacts, right? I'm
good, man. I'm good on that.
Thank you. Oh, dinner's great, wife. For the most part, right? I mean, no, that lets you be known that there's something there. If he didn't want that out there, he wouldn't have said that. So he said that last week, and so it's something there. And it doesn't mean that he's going to get traded. It means that he's probably going to want a conversation with Clint Kubiak, probably want to find out who's going to be the DC, Robbie Leonard or someone else, and how they're going to use him and what the timeline looks like. And if it matches up with what Max wants to do and feels like he can win, he'll probably stick around because I know he does love the Raiders and he loves Raider Nation, but he also wants to win. If it doesn't max the timeline, I could see him asking for a trade, and it might be the best thing for the Raiders anyway to get extra draft capital for him to try to turn this team around because, as I mentioned, they need to fill a lot of holes. So there's a lot going on, and I do think that this story is going to continue for a while before it's all said and done.
We all got to go follow Max's true social account and figure out what's going on.
For the most part. Y'all do a good. What if your boss said, "Hey man, y'all do a good job"? For the most part, you'd be like, "Well, hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?"
Trade me. What do you think a trade like that nets?
What they're saying is, and this is just the conversation that's out there, is that they want a Micah Parsons type trade, like 2 first-round picks and a player. I don't know if he gets that. Right? I honestly don't. He's 29 years old. He's had multiple knee surgeries. He's rehabbing knee surgery right now. I don't know if a team gives him that. Now, some people think that it's more than that. I will wait and see on that. Right? I mean, Micah Parsons was younger when that trade happened, so I could see why the Cowboys gotten the draft capital they got in return. But again, it only takes one team to say we're one Maxx Crosby away from winning a championship, and then it's worth it, right? Then they'll take the less need approach and be like, "Hey, man, F those picks." Right? F those picks. Don't worry about the draft picks. Let's go win a championship. And if that's the case, then then maybe a team will give up a lot of capital. But I like to kind of reserve I kind of like to, I guess, aim low and then be pleasantly surprised when it comes in a little bit higher. Devontae, when the Raiders traded for him from Green Bay, it was a first and a third, and it was done. So I could see somewhere like a first and a third, maybe a first and a second, whatever, if it's in the same draft. And if maybe it's 2 1s. I mean, and I think that would be a good compensation package for him as well. But I just don't know. I don't think the Raiders want to trade him. I think they're only going to trade him if Maxx wants him to be traded.
Q, I want to ask you just one more thing when we get out of here. Kind of a macro question here. The Raiders in Las Vegas, and I know the Vegas has supported them probably more than people nationally can tell because of some of the crowds that go through or whatever. But Raiders completely scrapped this thing, got the number 1 pick, complete rebuild with Fernando Mendoza potentially being that number 1 pick locally for you guys. Does it feel like, all right, this is the first time we're about to have the Las Vegas Raiders and we're about to grow with this young quarterback and what they're trying to do?
Yeah, for sure. And, and the quarterback is the franchise, is the face of the franchise. Sitting in the Moscone Center last week, looking up at the Super Bowl 60 advertisement, who did I see? I saw Sam Darnold and Drake May, right? The quarterback is always who's going to be gravitated to. So, yeah, I think so. And the other thing about that is, as you mentioned, all the extra jerseys that are in Allegiant Stadium that aren't Raider jerseys, guess who's going to be, first and foremost, who's going to be out there next year if Mendoza is the pick? You're going to see a ton of Mendoza jerseys, right? I mean, Mendoza and the Raiders, I mean, that goes hand in hand. So you want to start getting that home field advantage. You want to start getting the optics of it back to what it was, closer and similar to what it was in Oakland. That's how you do it. You go out there and draft Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, national champion quarterback. Hope to Raider Nation that could be their franchise guy moving forward. And, oh, by the way, his last name is Mendoza. Come on now. Right? That's how you start to get that thing turned around.
Yeah.
Get Bad Bunny out there to perform, man.
He's been there, done that at Allegiant. Not for the Raider game, but he's been there before for sure.
No doubt. Q, we appreciate you, man. We've been wanting to link up for a while, man. I think you got like 7 radio shows. So,
I think so.
Yeah, thanks for making a few minutes for us, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, man, I said on my local show today that I was going to hop on with you, and I got like 4 or 5 text messages like, man, I love those guys. So there you go, man. Keep up the great work. And anytime you want me on, holler at me. I got you.
Bet. Done deal. Thanks, Q.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. It's your boy Q right there.